make sure to follow us on Instagram at Whistlethrowers. It's a great way to interact with our show. Our DMs are always open for questions, topic discussions, and more. You will be able to find our new episodes and other announcements there. I agree with you on the Staley thing. I just disagree with you on the Herbert thing. I think he's a little bit overrated.
All right, thanks for tuning back into the Whistlethrowers podcast. It's Jack Robart, joined by
Jack Slaymaker.
And we are back. We missed week 1 due to technical difficulties, but not a problem this week. So we got 2 weeks of NFL breakdown, and it's a good thing that episode didn't air because I was overreacting like crazy after my fantasy teams shit the bed. But yeah, we got 2 weeks of football right now, and obviously I guess we could open up with a Nick Chubb injury.
Yeah.
That might be the end of his career, sadly.
I mean, yeah, it was disgusting. I only watched it one time. I flinched away after looking at it because honestly, my stomach can't really handle stuff like that. And you just got to feel for him, man, especially if you've been following Chubb his whole career. You know, he's a guy who suffered injuries like this in college, rebounded from them, built a strong NFL career. I mean, he's been a top 5 back for a good amount of time now.
Yeah, I was saying he was better than Henry. Like, I was getting ready to say he's better than Henry.
A lot of people were too.
Yeah.
Especially following this season. You know, I feel like this season was setting up for him where he had a chance to make his argument to be the best running back in the league. You know, behind a great Browns offensive line. I feel like they've been hoping for better quarterback play, but again, it's the expectations going in. I just feel terrible for Chubb. This was supposed to be a great year for him.
Yeah, and that's the same leg that he had that terrible injury like 2 seasons ago too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest concern I have now for the Browns is the fact that their offense looked horrible without him. And it wasn't like they were playing great against the Steelers before the injury, but afterwards, they did nothing and lost the game totally because of that. Because it's not like the Steelers' offense could do anything either. So I don't know what the Browns really can do. I mean, Ford had a couple amazing runs, and that could be hopeful, but Watson's got to play so much better than he has if the Browns want to be competitive, since it looks like Chubb, at least for this year, definitely isn't coming back. But in the future, afterwards, Watson's like the guy with the amount of money that they paid him. So if this is the end of Nick Chubb's career, Watson really needs to step up.
Yeah,
and he needs to prove that he can do it this year.
Yeah, like, if you guys remember in our fantasy group chat, like, minutes before his season ended, I was like, if you take Chubb out of this offense, there's nothing to it.
Yeah.
And then we actually saw that there is nothing past running back play in this offense. And Jerome Ford, he actually came out and did a great job, but they have like 3 serviceable tight ends, no play there. You got Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who is really underrated, if you ask me, for a receiver. And Deshaun Watson, who was like a top 5 quarterback like 3 or 4 years ago. And like, there's nothing to this team.
Yeah.
Like, the defense is great, but they can't win them the whole game.
Yeah, they're catching the ugly end of Deshaun Watson's career, and it's kind of crazy to see a career end the way it is. But I feel like everything that happened to him off the field has impacted what we're seeing right now. And it's kind of weird to see that because like even Michael Vick, who probably went through the worst off-the-field scandal in NFL history, well, O.J. Simpson wasn't playing at the time, but while playing, Michael Vick has gone through the most bizarre off-the-field controversy. And even he went to prison for multiple seasons and was able to bounce back with the Eagles in 2009. And I'm not sure what we can accumulate to that. I don't know if it's the person itself or the situation, but this is looking like a really ugly end to Deshaun Watson's career because you got to think that his leash is super short.
I would think so as well.
Right.
Like, you can't give him any chances. He shouldn't have gotten another chance, if you ask me.
Right.
But.
Agreed. And like, the thing is, it was easier for Michael Vick to change his public image because he took accountability for what happened, and then started playing the other card, which was, you know, donating to charities, opening a foundation for animal cruelty, and with Deshaun Watson, he's refuted everything. and hasn't really taken accountability because you can't prove that he did it pretty much. And, I've said from the very start, I've believed all these allegations to be true. And, there's nothing, but again, that is really irrelevant to the situation. Like, Deshaun Watson can't reverse his public image. He just can't at this point.
Yeah, I don't want to beat up on the Browns too much more, but I want to talk about the Steelers a little bit. And Kenny Pickett has had a lot of praise to him since he's entered the league. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, he does not look good, at all. I know their line is terrible, but he has an 18.8 QBR. That's the worst among starters in the league. And he's only thrown 454 yards. I mean, I get it. The line sucks. You can't really get much going, but you do have dynamic receivers. Mm-hmm. And he has a turnover machine, and he's just making, awful reads. Who did he throw that pick to? It was the slant route, and he did not see the safety pull in.
It wasn't Pickens, right?
It was Pickens, actually.
Okay,
he was trying to throw to Pickens, and it doesn't matter, but one of the defensive backs just literally spied right over his route, and he threw directly to him.
Yeah. And you see that a lot with slant routes with younger QBs where they don't really see that. It's usually a linebacker or safety hanging over the top there, and they just kind of bait him into it, and they throw it kind of blindly, and they're right there for it. And I agree with you. Honestly, I wanted to see something with Kenny Pickett. I kind of like him. He's from around where we are from. He's from South Jersey area. So I kind of like people that are from that area. I've wanted him to do well. I agree with you. I don't see anything. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't blame Pickett at all for any of this. Matt Canada might be the worst offensive coordinator.
That's very true.
Yeah. How can you have as explosive running back as Najee Harris and only give him 16 carries through 2 games and reception-wise 3 receptions? How can you possibly fathom that will work in your offense when your only wide receivers – your wide receivers are fine, but George Pickens, I still need to learn a little bit more about him if he can be a number one. Allen Robinson, we know what he is. He's a good slant receiver, best basically it. Gavin Johnson's solid, but he's not overly athletic. Calvin Austin's really fast, but he's kind of small. So there's a lot of questions about receiver front. You need to lean on your running back, especially with a second-year quarterback who showed a lot through the end of last season. And I feel like they've just gone back to the beginning of last year when they didn't run the ball that often. They relied way too much on Kenny Pickett, and they called really simple play calls for him, which makes no sense when he's going into his second year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on those fronts, too. I just wish I was seeing Kenny Pickett impress me with some throws. I'm just not seeing it. And the thing is, you look back to Joe Burrow's rookie year in 2020 during the COVID season, and this is before he had the knee injury in November. The thing with Joe Burrow that year was I was impressed with throws and decisions he was making. I didn't feel like the games as a whole were great, but there were bits and pieces where I was like, that you can build off of. That I like what he's doing there. I remember the Bengals came in to play the Eagles that year and they tied, and I was terrified of Joe Burrow going down and getting the game-winning drive because I was that impressed with him. And I feel a lot better about rookie QBs when they are doing that. And I'm just not really seeing that from Pickett. I'm not seeing him make those, I've always talked about this on the pod, the timing route throws where he is hitting his drop and releasing the ball before a receiver is looking at him, making their break. That is what I want to see. I just don't see that. And Matt Canada is terrible. These play designs are terrible. He's not even really running timing routes as it is. But when he does, I don't feel like Kenny Pickett is hitting them, and I don't think he's hitting them with accuracy. And that is where I'm basing my opinion off him. I just don't really believe in the direction Pickett is going.
Yeah, I do want to push back on the Najee Harris take. The line is terrible, but I saw him get past a hole one time yesterday. And that was the route where he was trying to go left, came all the way back around right. That was it.
Yeah.
He doesn't look good, and I get the line is terrible, but even last year, like the line when it wasn't as bad, like he still wasn't that great. Like I wouldn't even consider him a top 20 running back last year. Like he didn't do anything. And the guy behind him, Jalen Warren, is outplaying him, and he kind of did last year, and he's doing it now.
What are you talking about? Warren has less than 3 yards per carry this season.
Yeah, but he got a lot of receptions, and he had like 66 yards from receiving, and that's better than Najee for receiving and rushing combined, probably.
Yeah, but then that's my point. Why are they using only Warren and not Harris at all in the passing game? Harris only had 3 targets as well. So it's not like they're overusing him either.
You know, I wasn't saying they're overusing him. I think they're underusing him, but, like, I don't see him finding holes, is all I'm pointing out. Like, he hasn't really done that at all since his rookie year.
I guess, but it's not even like... I'd be fine if you said he can't find holes rushing, but receiving, they're not giving enough. In my opinion, they're just not giving him enough options for anyone to say that he doesn't have the capability to do that. So I remember in his rookie year when they targeted him and he got into open space, he did great. So I don't understand why they just decided to go to Warren as a full-time receiving guy when Harris was considered a 3-down back coming out of college. Like, that just makes absolutely no sense to me.
I 100% agree with that. And like that's another thing. It's like you're not helping Kenny Pickett at all. Like I'm not impressed, but you're not helping him. You have a good receiving back in Najee Harris. And here's the other thing. You have a bad offensive line. You have a bad pass blocking offensive line. What is one thing you can do to help that? Send your running back out on screens. Let the defensive line come at you, think they're getting pressure, and you slip it out the back door. That's where you help them. And again, like you said, Aiden, they have a good receiving back. He will catch the ball in space and make plays for you. But you have to give him the opportunity.
Yeah, I just don't get... Like, Warren's a good receiving back, I get that, but you could use both of them.
Right.
Like, I don't understand just deciding not to use Harris at all. Like, you only have 3 targets yesterday, 1 reception for no yards. That's telling me that they're just setting him up for failure at that point.
Agreed. And look at the way New England has been using Elliott and Stevenson. They've been putting them on the field together a lot, and it's worked. I mean, we watched them in week 1 as Eagles fans. The whole world watched them on Sunday Night Football. Like, their offense is stale a little bit, but also you can see where they're hitting some points. And the one point they're hitting on a lot is getting Stevenson and Elliott the ball together.
So I want to move on. I'm just looking at the standings right now, and I do want to talk about Bryce Young because Aiden was very critical about him before he ever stepped on an NFL field. And so far, he hasn't looked great. So, Aiden, you want to open up and just give us some thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't seen the Panthers. I know that they played last night. I'll be honest, I was listening more to the Phillies game since that went really well. But, yeah, he just has not look great. I mean, to be clear, he's going to a very, very bad Panthers team. Yeah. But that's what I said was part of the issue is that when he got drafted to this team, I just don't think his ceiling would be very high because of the team he's with. 299 yards in 2 games, it's fine. The 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, like, it's not that he's looked like the worst out of rookie quarterbacks, but he just hasn't done enough where I think it's like a very, very solid performance.
Right.
Miles Sanders got a decent amount of carry yesterday. He didn't get a whole lot of yards. Yeah, I just don't really know what to think of him yet. Like, I don't want to jump on it yet. And honestly, my guy, CJ Stroud, hasn't looked great either in certain points in the season. And the Texans just, again, another really horrible team. So, I don't know where to go yet. Although I will say Stroud had a great game. Last Sunday.
Yeah, he played well against the Colts.
384 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And this is what I was saying is that Stroud just looked like he had a stronger arm than Bryce Young did.
Yeah.
So I remember, and I said this in my evaluations of the draft, I remember when Bryce Young played against Georgia, and a lot of his passes that were picked off were too short. They weren't actually on the deep ball. Stroud has a great deep ball, and if he can get a couple more receivers with Houston, other than Collins and Robert Woods, although I will say Dell looked pretty good so far, but besides those guys, like that's not a wide receiver 1 at all that I've named there. So if they can get him a wide receiver 1 with Pierce and the way that this offense is looking, and then can solid up the defense, he's going to have a much better chance of winning the Bryce Young ball in Carolina, which is what I said on draft time.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough rookie season for Young for sure because Like, he has no help, and, like, that offense over at Houston, it is a bad team, but, like, he has a bunch of pieces around him to actually help him succeed. Yeah. And I'm not putting Dameon Pierce in the same conversation as Miles Sanders. If you just look at their last year's production, I think Pierce is way better, but...
Yeah.
There's, like, no help on that team. I think they're really going to have to get aggressive in free agency. And I think losing DJ Moore, even though that's how they got Bryce Young, like, if he had him, that would be huge.
Yeah. I agree. And the thing, I think Aiden is definitely looking right in this situation. I mean, CJ Stroud is looking like a budding star to me, honestly. Like, we've all talked about his weapons, but I still feel like he's playing really well with the weapons he has. And I watched them and I was like, you don't really have anyone that can make an explosive play except for CJ Stroud. Nico Collins, he looks like a really good number 2 or 3.
Yeah, he's the third in receiving yards right now.
Yeah, he was averaging 20 yards per reception on like 7 catches. Yeah, 7 catches. So he looks really good. Robert Woods is tailing off a bit, and I still think he's putting up good production. I think CJ Stroud and them are going to win a couple games this year.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to hit their stride. I don't think they've hit their stride on offense yet, and like they're finding it right now. And once they do, it's going to click because CJ Stroud looks really good. Bryce Young, on the other hand, I mean, he's teetering for me. I'll say, like, yeah. Go ahead.
Really interesting side note. After the Texans bye week, their first game is against the Panthers. So if they can get going before the bye week, that Panthers game might not be as exciting as people thought it was going to be this year.
No. Because that's what I was about to say too, is the Texans look like they could hit a stride and click. The Panthers, on the other hand, I don't even think it matters how good Bryce Young plays. I see Bryce Young's season playing out very similar to how Joe Burrow's rookie year played out. Not him getting hurt, but where they are struggling to win games. But at the same time, I still think that there's something there for Bryce Young. I do like some of the throws he's making. He needs more arm strength. Like you put it perfectly, Aiden, in college even, it looked like on those deep hash throws, he couldn't put enough on it. In the NFL, I think he's taken a step forward in the arm strength a bit. But yeah, I mean, there's just nothing right now that says Bryce Young could operate an offense with a consistent game of 20-plus yard plays down the field. I don't see that, and you need that today. CJ Stroud is a guy who will tear apart defenses. I mean...
Yeah, I am happy that other people are starting to see that because this is what I saw when you compare the two of them.
Right.
And if it does turn out the way that I predicted that it would, I don't know what the Panthers were thinking. I don't know what their scouting department was looking at when they looked at this. I just can't comprehend what you could have seen between these two guys and done with Young over Stroud. But that was what most analysts were saying, and I just didn't see it. So, and again, I'm not hoping that Bryce can fail. I'd love for him to succeed and prove me wrong. But at the end of the day, I just don't think he has that athletic ability, that NFL quarterback presence from just the build standpoint that he needs to be successful.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there. And, I was saying take Bryce Young. I don't know what I was looking at, frankly. You should. I feel like we all should have seen this earlier with Stroud being over Young. I mean, he's a good 3 notches above Bryce Young right now, which is saying something.
Almost like Peyton Manning over Ryan Leaf. Or I'm sorry, was that a bit of an overreaction when I said it?
I mean, I don't think it's that big of an overreaction. Like, I don't think Bryce Young's going to be Ryan Leaf, but I think CJ Stroud will be Peyton Manning. And like,
when you look back on that draft,
yeah,
there's going to be a right answer and a wrong answer.
Yeah, 100%, definitely.
So a team on my radar is the Washington Commanders right now. Mm-hmm. So they had 2 come from behind victories, and granted, the 2 teams that they beat are now 0-2, but I've said twice now that, like, mid-game, Cardinals playing the Giants, Cardinals playing the Commanders, I said the Cardinals were actually going to win a game, and they didn't. So The Commanders really came back and won 2 gritty games against the Cardinals and the Broncos. And I know that doesn't mean a lot, especially the Cardinals, but the Broncos look different this year. Like, Russ doesn't look completely cooked. Like, he actually had a great performance yesterday. He just had a fumble that decided the game. But
yeah,
it looks like he's back, and I think that should, like, I don't really know what I'm saying here, but, like, I don't think people should overlook that they beat up on 2 teams that
the Commanders.
Yeah,
I'm
good right now.
We'll see. The thing is, are they going to have enough when they play, the 3 defenses in their division that are probably all top 10 or close to top 10
Giants.
as it is. The Giants looked really bad on Sunday and the following Sunday.
Yeah.
But I still think that they have something. I mean, when you have Dexter Lawrence on your D-line, I still think that you're knocking on the door. I think that they've played worse than they are capable of playing. I'll put it that way. But my point being is, for the Commanders, you're going to have to play 6 games against these teams that are better than you. And
I want to say the Giants are better than them.
I would say, yeah.
They look trash.
I wouldn't say trash. I would not say that. I would not say that, Jack. I was saying that, and I would not say that. I think the 3 teams in the NFC East, Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, all 3 are considerably better as of now than Washington.
You know what's really interesting? I started getting really high on the Commanders when I saw Sam Howell's game against Baltimore in the preseason. And I know that it's weird to overreact to preseason games, but you have to remember that was when Baltimore had that crazy 24-game winning streak or whatever in the preseason, and the Commanders played their starters up until the 3rd quarter because they really wanted to win.
That was an actual game.
Yeah, Sam Howell looked really, really sharp in that game for it being a preseason game. Like, his reads were perfect. He knew when to run. He knew when to slide. He didn't look like the moment was too big for him to get. I know it was just preseason, but he looked like, if I were going to say out of any of the quarterbacks that I saw that were in like their 2nd or 1st year that played any preseason steps, I would have gone with him as being the one I'm most confident in. And he's really shown that he is totally fine taking over this Commanders team and just running with it, and they've looked really solid. And so, like you said, are they probably going to stay 2-0 and go on a really deep run? Probably not. But I would feel much more confident as a Commanders fan knowing that I have a quarterback like that than before going into this year, not knowing what we had after the whole Wentz debacle, and not really knowing who your quarterback was going to be.
Yeah, no, I definitely see your guys' point. The thing is, I don't know if they can keep up offensively. That's kind of my worry. I don't think they're going to be able to. I love McLaurin. I love Dotson. But this O-line scares me.
Robinson looked great, though.
Yeah, no, he did. But great. Again, you're only going to go as far as your offensive line takes you. I'm going to worry when Sam Howell has to deal with some legit pressure. But actually, the one thing I was going to say is, if I'm high as a Commanders fan right now, I'm looking at the defensive line. That's the thing that I think will be their backbone. I mean, Daron Payne had a sack. Montez Sweat had 1.5. Chase Young had 1.5.
He's back?
Yeah. He had 1.5 sacks.
He's actually been pretty solid.
Yeah. Yep. He looked shaky at the end of last year, but he looks back. And Daron Payne and Montez Sweat went nowhere. You know what I mean? And do they still have Jonathan Allen?
No, you didn't even mention him, which is crazy.
Yep.
Like, that's how good their D-line's playing, that you can mention Jonathan Allen.
And he had a quiet day. I mean, he only had 3 total tackles, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that the Commanders are building something here. And I don't know. The biggest issue is that just the teams in their division, it's always really, the Giants went into that problem last year where they actually had a decent, really good, not really good, but they had a pretty solid season and just ran into teams in their division. And that's what held them back.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be the same issue with the Commanders where they might have something this year. Definitely, I think they're past the Giants at this point in the season. Again, it's only 2 weeks, so this might be a little bit of a reaction. But to me, right now, the Commanders look more solid than I would say the Giants are. But the Commanders, to me, could only finish 3rd. And that's just because the Cowboys and Eagles are so far ahead of everyone else.
Right. Yeah. As an NFL fan, I like what they're building, but as an Eagles fan, I'm not too worried about them. I still think the holes on their team are too big to fill right now.
Yeah, they're not built for now. They're built for like years.
The future, yeah. Because Howell looks good, but again, when we're looking at week 8, I think he's going to be dealing with serious pressure, and that's going to be where he's going to have to turn the corner. Same with Stroud that we talked about earlier. Like when they need to deal with real pressure from the best teams, because the best teams have the best pass rushes. It's no coincidence. And when you start playing those teams, that's when the QB really, really, really gets tested.
So I want to move on to the Jets.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is so bad for the NFL that Rodgers goes down in 4 plays of the season.
Yeah.
You have that whole Hard Knocks series surrounded by Rodgers and how he's going to be with this new squad because he finally got what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll probably never see the full product at his full potential, even if he comes back next year, because he's 39 and he tore his Achilles. He's going to come back not the same. You could say that almost certainly.
Yeah.
So
Almost.
Yeah, he's the best quarterback of all time. We'll see. You never know with him, but I was heartbroken because I've never been more excited for a team that I wasn't a fan of until that team.
I somewhat agree with you, actually. Somewhat.
If he doesn't come back, that's the biggest what if in NFL history. No questions asked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True. Especially if this team ends up winning 8, 9, maybe even 10 games, because they could. I feel like Zach Wilson hasn't looked as bad as he has before.
No.
I think Rodgers in one offseason has brought him up a couple notches, which is impressive. I don't think Zach Wilson can take him to the playoffs, but I think that they will get knocking on the door very, very, very close to the playoffs. And people are going to say, if this team had Aaron Rodgers, they would be at the top of the AFC or at least contending. And they'd be right to say that, in my opinion. I think that I agree. This is going to be a huge what if. A huge, huge what if.
Yeah. Sometimes Zach Wilson literally looks like Tom Brady with legs.
Yeah.
And then other times he looks like I'm under center.
Yeah.
So, I don't really know. It's very different from last year because he always looked like me under center last year. But
yeah,
I think Rodgers actually grounded that kid, and I never thought I'd say that because what was he saying off season? Oh, whoever comes here, I'm going to make their life living hell.
Yeah,
your role model comes and you would actually love it.
Yeah,
he loves Rodgers there now.
Yeah,
even though he's not playing or until he gets injured.
Yeah,
but I think it'll be great for him, and I think he'll have a career post Rodgers, whether it's the Jets or somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. I was getting ready to book hotel room in Manhattan for the Super Bowl to go celebrate with Jets fans. I was so ready for them to be good this year, and 4 boys didn't win from all this excitement you guys talked about to, oh my god, we just witnessed the end of the Jets season.
Yeah,
and that I cannot even imagine what it's like to be a diehard Jets fan. Sit through 1999 when you watched Vinny Testaverde get hurt in the first game with the same Super Bowl aspirations. 2003 watched Chad Pennington go down the first game. And this is the best quarterback you've had since Testaverde, and he goes down. I just can't imagine what that's like to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so bad for them. And I know there's nothing I can say to make them feel better. But what could still carry them this year is their defense. That is a great defense in that building. And even if Rodgers come back 70% of what he was going to be this year, 65%, I still think the defense is good enough that they can keep them together next year to carry a 65% Rodgers to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I could see it too. They need to address that offensive line because for all 4 plays, or all 3 pass plays to be dropbacks, and you have an aging quarterback, that's unexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
No, they have a great running back in Breece Hall, and he only had 4 carries. That just can't happen.
Yeah.
No. Dalvin Cook had 3, 2 or something.
Yeah, and I think
Dalvin Cook only had 4. So they combined for 8 carries and 16 yards.
And I get they were playing from behind, but I just feel like the strength that they should have been attacking was the Cowboys' D-line, the interior of their D-line. They have a rookie there who's coming in and out. And you don't want to drop back and pass with Lawrence and Parsons off of the back the whole time. I don't think that's a recipe for success against them.
That's a scary Cowboys defense.
It really is.
I can't remember a defense that I've seen that has the scheming ability and a guy that you can literally move all over the field.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed last year about Parsons was when they played the Eagles on Christmas, Minshew would throw a pass to the sideline to a receiver who would be running up the sideline, and Micah Parsons, who lined up on the opposite side of the field, would be sprinting over to make a tackle. And that's unfreaking heard of. That's literally Lawrence Taylor-esque. He was the only edge rusher ever who could rush the quarterback and then follow the quarterback's throw and attempt to make a tackle on the receiver. Legitimately make an attempt to tackle the receiver. There hasn't been a defensive player like Micah Parsons in a very, very, very long time. And that includes guys like Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher. He's a different linebacker. He's absolutely different.
This is what he's like at Penn State, but it's really hard to know, with especially defensive players, young defensive players, if that can translate to the NFL level. And it hasn't been even an adjustment for him.
No, he's been like this since the start.
I don't remember a single moment where I was like, this guy's not good. Even when he was shut down by Lane last year in the Cowboys game, Lane had to put in all of his effort to stop him. And by the third quarter, they just changed the game plan, and it totally made everything worse for the Eagles.
Yeah, well,
he almost single-handedly beat the Eagles last year.
You have to remember, Lane went out, and then Micah just went off. It literally takes Lane Johnson to stop him.
Yeah, as an Eagles fan, I know I'm not supposed to gush about the Cowboys at all, but I love this defense. I love watching this defense. I think that this defense, if that can fix the turnover problem, which right now it looks like he has, there's no reason why the Cowboys can't think as far as the Super Bowl. There's just
agree.
Nothing there to me that could stop them, other than if Dak slowly regresses to where he was last year. And if he's fixed that problem, forget it. Maybe the 49ers, the Eagles, if they can stay healthy, but they're pretty banged up right now on their defense. Besides those two teams, the Cowboys are right up there.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And, you said you love watching the defense. I'm the opposite. I've loved watching Cowboys defenses since I was born. That's what I love. This defense, I fear watching them. I fear them. That is scary. And I don't want to think about having to drop back 35 times against them. As an Eagles fan, I'm saying we need to control the clock against them. That's how you're going to beat this team. You need to ground and pound.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you guys if you think that the Cowboys actually look different this year. You guys kind of answered. But, I would have to agree. But it's very conditional on Dak Prescott's progression.
I agree.
He looked terrible game one, but he didn't really get any chances to do anything.
Yeah,
so
right.
I can't really say he did.
Even this game, he didn't really look like he had that many chances.
Yeah, he still had 2 touchdowns last game?
No, I didn't say I'm not saying he's playing bad, but I don't think that I saw a lot.
Yeah, no, 2 touchdowns on limited chances.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's the thing, though. I don't think he has to do too much. And this is the first time, the Cowboys defense was good last year, but it wasn't this elite to where you could feel confident of taking the pressure off Dak. The other thing, too, is they're finally letting Tony Pollard be the main guy. And he doesn't carry the ball for a lot. But now that he is that starting running back, he's getting more open in the passing game and isn't getting restricted by just giving the ball to Zeke. That's helping them a lot, too. Now, I'm really concerned that he's not getting that many yards per carry, and really none of the running backs are, except for Vaughn, but he's only had 3 carries, so it doesn't really count. So they need to fix that before they can make a really deep run. But that's an adjustment that I think can be made for them. And if that's the only thing you have to worry about with this team, I'm not concerned at all for them.
Yeah, you guys talked about Micah Parsons, and I agree, but I really am seeing change in Trayvon Diggs. Like, he is a ball hound. Like, he'll get the ball in any sort of way, like forced fumbles, like not just interceptions anymore. Like, I think he's improved in coverage, and he's just a turnover machine. Like, that's, like, he's not a dynamic, well, he is dynamic, but he's not like a Jalen Ramsey quarterback one, but he's his own thing, and it works great for that defense.
Yeah.
Like, he'll give up more yards, but like, he'll get the ball, like, and he'll like cause offensive disruption.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
In his own way. I've never seen a quarterback like him.
Yeah, me too.
You could talk about the Eagles a little bit. My biggest concern is like they're just playing B- football against like B- teams and winning. And we got a couple good teams on the schedule, like the Chiefs, for example. And I don't think it's going to fly when we play them. Like, I look at who's calling our plays on offense, and he's going to lose us games. Like, I'm surprised he haven't already, honestly.
Well, here's the thing. I think people are overreacting with the Eagles. Frankly, I think that the Eagles have shown that they can draw up plays for certain people. I thought that they were drawing up a lot for A.J. Brown in week 1. And not enough for the other guys. And then this game against the Vikings, obviously you run the ball all over the field. If the Eagles can do that to anyone, they're not going to have to worry about throwing the ball. And the thing is, you're not going to be able to run the way that you did against Minnesota against everyone. But having that in your pocket is key, because being a threat to run the ball opens up everything. And I think that the game against the Vikings, they showed that they can get plays to Goddard and Smith working and get rhythms like that. I think it's just that they need to bring it together in one game, is where, Brian Johnson was trying a lot of things, I feel like. And now through 2 games where you're getting a lot of pressure on you if you're Brian Johnson. This is loud from Philly. We're all talking about Brian Johnson's play calling. I think that he's had a few good plays. And I think that he needs to mesh it all together, because once you bring that all together and don't fuck around with the vanilla shit, you get the plays that you can rely on every single time, because that's all you need with these guys. When A.J. Brown gets open, it's automatic. When Devontae Smith is open, it's automatic. When Dallas Goedert is open, it's automatic. Keep a clean pocket, get simple routes going that these guys are comfortable with. They're going to be fine. And they've showed that they can do it. They just haven't put it together for a full game. Because let me put one more point. Think about the difference in the first and second half. Think about that. They were throwing the ball a lot better in the second half than they did the first half. I think that he needed a little bit of a wake up. I don't know what it was. They booed them in the first half. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
We booed that loud.
You guys were both at that game, actually.
Yeah, Aiden, you were there too? Yeah. That was a great game.
Here's what I noticed about the game, and I give credit to Brian Johnson and the rest of the coaching staff. I also give credit to the Vikings. That play calling on defense was amazing.
Yep.
And that's a Brian Flores-led team. You could tell that he watched what the Patriots did. Because the Vikings don't have a very good defensive front. What they do have is really fast linebackers. What they were doing on the passing game in the first half was sending 5 to 6 guys every single time Hertz went back to pass. So we didn't have time to read anything. They had to go with the screens. It wasn't working. What the Eagles did in the middle of the second quarter on was just run the ball. Because they realized that the Vikings were just set up for a pass rush. So if the offensive line could move the defensive wall that they had, which they were able to do, that gave them 5 to 6 yards to run every single time, which is basically what Swift got every time he touched the ball. That's when the game changed. And the reason why he was able to hit that deep pass to Smith, everyone played up because they were expecting a run. So that's why they were able to hit that pass. So the play calling actually got a lot better. Now, we'll have to see what they can do against teams that have a fully built defense, which Minnesota does not. But it does show me that they can learn to develop, know what's happening in the game, and continue playing, not even at halftime, but between quarters. That's a really good sign moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree, Aiden. I'm not worried about this at all. People are overreacting on Hurts. I feel like Hurts his numbers don't show how good he's actually been playing. Like, I don't think he's been putting up numbers or stats at all. But Hurts has been making the plays to win the Eagles these games. And granted, they haven't been pretty wins, but a win's a win in this league. And like, especially when you can build off of a win. You didn't play your best, but you can go back, watch film, and build off of it. I think that's like a really good spot to be in the NFL. And I'm not worried about the defense either. Like, I think them giving up 28 to Minnesota was a little bit like, I don't think the score showed how well that defense played.
There's the same thing that happened against New England.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And I mean, for the majority of that drive when Minnesota scored, it was like the second and third string guys. And they did play as well as you could expect them to play, coming cold, not playing since the last preseason game and going into a game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at some point, like, the Vikings still had all their starters in. It made sense that they scored.
Yeah.
But it's not like that the game was totally in reach for Minnesota.
Yeah, and the Vikings offense is really good, actually. They have weapons all over the field, and Cousins is a good quarterback. He's a good, solid quarterback.
Addison looks great.
Yeah, Addison looks like a really, really good receiver.
Yeah. Agreed.
So I do want to move into the AFC North. Like, we kind of did mention that the Browns and the Steelers are non-threatening. Is it time to hit the panic button if you're Cincinnati?
No.
Okay, they started out 0-2 last year.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about them at all.
Like, I'm not panicking unless another team were to run away with it, and maybe Baltimore does, but Baltimore didn't look great week one. Last week they looked a lot better. And I can trust them, but Baltimore's pretty banged up too.
Yeah.
No Dobbins, Odell's hurt. Lamar needs to stay healthy. The Bengals have consistently stayed healthy, although Burrow's beat up a little bit too. I have to see if he can stay healthy to feel more comfortable about their chances. But, yeah, I'm not panicking at all. If you've got Burrow healthy, if Chase is healthy, forget it. Like, they'll be fine.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I think their defense has played well. Cincinnati's defense has played well. I think the offense has put them in a couple bad situations. But they have played well so far. I think that once you get this offense clicking, it'll be fine. It's kind of weird. It's just really strange how the last 2 years Cincinnati has started off like this. And, last year when it happened, people are screaming Super Bowl hangover, blah, blah, blah. This year, no one. I think people are saying they're falling off. It's whatever. I don't think there's any reason to be worried about them. You have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon. There's no reason to be worried. There really is none.
Yeah, I'm not worried either, just because of the division. Like, it's not threatening. Like, even the Ravens being undefeated,
they look good.
Nothing to me at this point, though.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the wild card for that conference, too, is just so
wide. Yeah.
Like, I can't think of many teams that are in second place ahead of them. Like, the Jets are 1-1, the Bills are 1-1. Neither team has given me much confidence that they can make a playoff run. The AFC South is just too young outside of Jacksonville. And the AFC West has two 0-2 teams, and the Raiders at 1-1. Like, the Chiefs will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that conference is so wide open that once the Bengals can put it together, and I believe that they will at this point, there's no reason for me to expect they won't. They'll be fine.
I agree. And actually, this can transition us into a team I wanted to talk about, too. The LA Chargers.
Yeah.
They look terrifying right now. That defense looks porous. I've seen a lot of Kenneth Murray slander on Twitter, which Twitter doesn't mean much, but when people are breaking down your film and exposing you on a lot of like really bad plays, that doesn't really look good. And they're all. Is it time to start being real about Justin Herbert? Like, I feel like he's a good player, but is he in the Kirk Cousins league? Is that where Justin Herbert is? Is he just a really good quarterback who can't win football games? It's a serious question.
Yeah, I don't want to go that far because he puts up elite numbers. Like, he is considered easily a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
I just think that Staley is holding him back, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
If you put in another head coach, I think the Chargers are Super Bowl contenders. But Staley has consistently let this team down. The Chargers were in 2 winnable games the last 2 weeks and couldn't come away with it because their defense couldn't make a stop when it needed them to.
Right.
Their defense has good players.
It does.
Joey Bosa is a really good player.
Yep.
I just don't know what is happening. Khalil Mack, another great player, but he doesn't have any sacks this year, which is a little bit concerning.
Derwin James.
They have all these defensive weapons and still just can't put it together like a defensive scheme that can stop other teams. You can't stop other teams in the NFL. It doesn't matter how many points you score.
Yeah.
If you scored 34 on Miami, they should have won that game.
Yeah.
There's
right.
no reason they should have allowed 36. And it's not like Herbert turned over the ball or anything. So, no, I'm not putting Herbert up there. I just think that they need a new head coach, and the moment they do that, it will be a different team. Yeah,
no, I definitely agree with you too. Like, I think Staley's a terrible head coach. I think he's going down the road of mid-season fire. I agree with you on the Staley thing. I just disagree with you on the Herbert thing. I think he's a little bit overrated. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest.
I don't want to group him as one of the Kirk Cousins players, but
hold on.
His ceiling is not all that. He's not ever. I don't think he'll ever be a Mahomes or a Burrow type player, but he'll be right in the middle of the Kirk Cousins mantra players and the really transcendent quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. I think there should be a middle tier for guys like him.
I want to preface that too because when I say Kirk Cousins, I mean that as no disrespect. Kirk Cousins is a guy who puts up elite numbers. He just doesn't win football games.
No, but when I think of Kirk Cousins, I think of a bland pocket passer with nothing, no flash in his game.
I mean, I don't when you said bland pocket passer. I mean, I feel like Justin Herbert falls in that. I don't think but not flash. He definitely has a strong arm. He can make insane throws. I don't know. I don't think that he really I don't think he brings a rushing threat if that's what you're referring to with
better
bland.
legs than Kirk.
That's for sure, but I think that age has to do with that. I feel like Kirk was a little bit more mobile when he was younger. He was just stuck as a backup.
Also, Herbert has also thrown for close to 5,000 yards the last 2 years.
Well, hasn't Kirk too? Hasn't Kirk been 4,500?
Yeah, but Herbert has a much stronger arm than Cousins.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know. I think Kirk has an underratedly strong arm. I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It can be underrated, but Herbert has one of the strongest arms in the league.
Yeah, I mean.
When you go back to what you would want to mold your quarterback to be, it would be Justin Herbert. His size, his arm, everything's there for him to succeed, and he has succeeded. The issue is that the team around him just isn't very good. And it's not that they don't have the weapons to be good. It's just, to me, it's the play calling.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason they should have lost in Jacksonville last year.
And
it wasn't because Herbert totally fell off. When you're up 24-0, your defense should be able to make enough stops for you to win. And
you should rely on your run game. That was my point last year. You should be able to have a reliable run game.
Yep.
And Eckler.
That's not on Herbert. That loss to me was not on Herbert.
No, I agree. I'm not. Again, I don't want to put losses on Herbert. That's not what I'm doing. It just seems eerily similar to me because, you look at the last 2 games, Kirk Cousins has put up insane numbers. He's thrown for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns in both games. On
Herbert looked really, really solid. It's unfortunate the Vikings haven't been able to come away with wins. But I think the Vikings. To me, they're not where I thought they were going to be when they fell off. The record isn't where it was last year, but they haven't fallen off statistically at all. If anything, they look better.
I actually agree, too. Yeah, because I was going to say the offense looks incredibly improved. And I think that, honestly, I wouldn't be panicking as a Vikings fan. Your defense doesn't look good, but, it's super, that's a good, consistent formula when Cousins throws for 300 yards and Jefferson is above 10 catches, 100 yards. That's just a really good formula. And what you're seeing out of Addison, too, I wouldn't be worried for them.
I will say, whoever loses the Chargers-Vikings game next weekend, they have to worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So they play each other?
Do they play each other week 3?
Yeah, they play each other next week, so that'll be an interesting game to watch.
That's a really interesting matchup. That might be the best 0-2 matchup in NFL history.
That's game of the week for sure.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else?
No. Really, no. I'm getting excited for baseball season. My O's prediction worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Really.
Clinched the AL.
The Cubs prediction's looking all right, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking fine.
My Miami prediction, though.
Stretch to begin with, but the fact that they're competing at all is surprising, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I want to boast my MLB prediction too, because I said 3 teams in the NL East will make it, and the Mets won't be one, or I said 4 maybe, but I said the Marlins were going to make it. They look, they're right there. They're like tied for that or whatever.
Stronger before they spoke. Again, it's crazy that they've won without Alcantara pitching.
Yeah,
as long as he has historically, which is just bizarre.
And he's done for the year, right?
The year that he falls off, the Marlins decide to be a good baseball team.
Right, yeah. And I like them, but they're it's no lock for them to make the playoffs. They're gonna have to play down the stretch here. Yeah. I hope some teams lose too.
Yeah, I'm gonna close off on 2 points. So originally when I was talking about Jordan Love and the Packers, I kind of thought he was gonna be like a bridge quarterback, like kind of like Tom Brady to Mac Jones, but I think Jordan Love is gonna narrow that gap a lot.
I agree. Yeah.
Like, he looks like he backed up Rodgers for 3 whole years.
I love him.
His reads are almost perfect the first 2 games. Mm-hmm. The way he positions his body and just moves and adapts like in the middle of the play, it kind of looks like Aaron Rodgers.
I'm ready to see him with Watson too.
Yeah.
And I agree.
He really looks a lot more like Aaron Rodgers than I thought he was going to.
I agree.
And lastly, I want to finish off that Bijan Robinson may have been my best fantasy pick, like my best stretch fantasy pick. Like, so far, barring injuries, he looks like an all-time great running back. He makes dudes miss.
Yeah, he makes people miss, that's for sure. Yeah.
So I think that'll wrap it up for this week. Mm-hmm. We upload every Saturday around 1 p.m. so you can watch before like the majority of the week games in the NFL season, and we go all the way till the NBA Finals. So we'll be uploading consistently, barring any technical difficulties, up until mid-June. All right, we'll see you.